Hi everyone, Marilyn O'Malley here of MarilynO'Malley.com, and today I want to talk to you about fears. I get a lot of questions from my clients about what to do about their fears, and that's why a lot of them come to me, because they're afraid. So I've got a few here I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to read them off to you so that you can see if you have any of these fears and realize, and then I'll explain where fears come from. And so how am I going to do this? It's too hard. I'll suffer. It'll be painful. I don't know how. What if I fail? What if I succeed? What if I'm rejected? What if I'm not good enough? What if they abandon me? What if I can't handle it? What if it's too much? What if I'm too much? So these are a lot of fears that people have. And probably one of the biggest ones, and the core one, is I'm not safe. I don't feel safe. A lot of highly sensitives don't feel safe shining their light, and for a variety of reasons. And so when we think about succeeding or failing or putting ourselves out there in ways that we've had experiences as highly sensitives that brought about feelings that didn't feel good, or we saw other people suffer from their actions that were painful, we remember those, and we don't want to experience them again, or we don't want to experience them like we remember somebody else did. So that brings me to, what are fears? So fears are learned, except for two fears: the fears of loud sound and the fear of falling. Everything, all the other fears that you have in your life, you've learned from childhood or from experiences. And then what happens is, wherever you're at now, say you are an entrepreneur and you want to create videos. This was me. I was fairly shy. I was a perfectionist. I had the fear of rejection. I had, all of it. It was like putting myself out there. Oh my gosh, people then can judge me. And what if I fail at this? What if I do something wrong? It didn't feel safe at all. And so, and that was from my experience in the past. And that's what I had to realize, that all of my fears were today, at this moment, were projections from things that had happened in the past and my response to what had happened in the past. But if I realized that in this moment has never happened before, I have never experienced this moment right here, right now, I have no idea how this moment is going to turn out. I don't know if it'll be good, if it'll be bad, what will happen. But if I operate from this experience right now, and I have an intention, and my intention is to share information with you that will be helpful, right? And if I do that job, and I may need to practice to overcome some of my fears from the past, learning, as you can, I'm so conscious of my ums, but I'm not a green screen person. I am not a memorize a talk or a speech or a YouTube. I operate from the now, and I trust I have notes, but I also trust in what channelings come into me to share with you. And I had to learn to operate more in the moment and let go of my past experiences, realizing that the juicy part is right here. And so I've done a variety of work in releasing those old fears. So, how do you learn the fears, right? Some are passed on through our parents, their fears, or our culture, or religion, you know, through media, through rules, through things you learn at school, depending on, you know, whatever the certain rules were, how people treated you. Like if you were bullied, then you don't feel safe standing out, because then you feel like somebody, if you stand out, then you're going to be bullied. And but because that's what happened to you in your childhood, that's what you rationalized in your childhood happened. And it really wasn't for you standing out, it was because you were shrinking and you made yourself less bold, less bright. So so the bullies saw you as a weak target. And you know, which is sad, but we create things in our head about what happened in childhood, that we take into our adulthood, but it's really the child's mind that created it. And so some work needs to be done on healing that inner child and letting that inner child know that you as an adult are going to protect her or him, and that and the kind of maturing that would go on so that you do feel safe in feel safe being you. Now you might have learned in your home that, like, if you stood out or you were very bright and shiny and you had a parent who was depressed or had an illness, or you know, a single parent that had to work two jobs and just didn't have energy for you, then you probably got the signal along the way that you're too much. And so, and that too much information could come to you in some ways that made you feel bad about yourself. And or you could have had a parent that physically slapped you, put you down that way. If you had, you know, alcoholic parents or parents who were angry or would rage or whatever, you know, you just noticed how, being a highly sensitive, you noticed how you affected people, and as a child, you remembered that as that you're causing the problem, or you're causing the issues, or and you're causing the bullying, whereas really you have nothing to do with it, but you're a recipient of their projections of what's going on with them, because they can't handle you. Not that you're not handleable or that you're too much, it's like they're overwhelmed, they have too much going on. So I'm going into a lot of stuff that I wanted to just keep simple. But the other thing is that being an empath, as a highly sensitive, we feel other people's feelings. And so one of the things that I like to share too is that usually you will pick up one of your mother's, particularly your mother's, fear that she has while you were in utero. So if you have a parent that was in survival or fearful of having you, or fearful of anything in their life, if they were an anxious person, you can pick up on that information and come into the world with that information. And so you can work on that energetically to calm that and let go of that fear so that you can move on in your life. So you got to think, like, fears in a lot of ways are like brainwashing. So it's like over time, you know, there's a lot of religious things, that statements that, you know, to put the fear of God in you, right? Or the fear of the devil, or whatever religion that somehow it's like for people to manage and control you. They create ways to make you feel fearful. And so you have to become aware of what those fears are. And so I would look at the things that you're afraid of and see, who are those, my fears, or are those somebody else's fears? Because those fears are also, behind those fears are beliefs. And again, the beliefs is where we go. What do you believe will happen if you're rejected? What do you believe if that person abandons you? What are you believing about yourself? And here's something I want to share about you. Everybody is whole, resourceful, and creative. And that means that you're resilient, that you have your own pathway, and you're not to live other people's pathways. So somebody might have a fear, and it might be, and they totally believe that, and that is because that's been their reality, but it doesn't have to be your reality. And so finding a way to tune in and check in and see if those fears that you're feeling are really authentic and true to you. And they may be because you believe them, but they're unconscious beliefs. So to look at and see if, if those beliefs are valid or not, and how, today, in this moment, are you in danger? Are you safe now? What is here right now? And most of the time you'll see there's nothing to fear right here, right now. And so taking action from that place and reminding yourself that my past is not representative of what my present and future can be, because you can always make choices. So don't let your programming of fears and doubts and worries and of your parents, of culture, of religion, of all of that stuff that you grew up with determine what you are capable of doing and being and having today, because you are a very powerful person. And you are to be living your life and fulfilling your dreams and purpose, and not somebody else's. And there is all sorts of energy work and mindsets and different things that you can do to tap into who you really are and your strengths, and let go of those fears. You don't have to hold on to them, and move more confidently into what you're desiring and what you want to create in your life, and who you want to become, and what you want to have that supports you. So again, this is Marilyn O'Malley of MarilynO'Malley.com. If you have any questions or you want to go further on this, please get in contact with me, ask me questions. If you want, have a discovery session where we can get into the specifics of things so I can share with you. Also, any of your fears, look on my on YouTube channel. There's all sorts of energy work and tapping on fears and anxieties. And I hope this was helpful. So love, live, and matter until we meet next time. Thank you. Marilyn O'Malley from MarilynO'Malley.com. Bye.